If you've ever left a Zoom call thinking, I'm exhausted, and I just agreed to something I'm not sure I believe, this episode is for you. Today, you'll see why video meetings leave you so drained, and why that exhaustion can quietly push you to go along with the group, using one old philosophical idea about appearances and new research on Zoom fatigue and conformity. Hi, I'm Ryan from Workday Wisdom. This is where everyday work problems are explained with old ideas and new research. And every episode ends with concrete experiments for tomorrow's workday. In the next few minutes, you'll see why your brain works harder on video than in person, and 3 small changes that make it easier to say what you really think. Let's start with a moment you might recognize. It's 4:55 p.m., the last meeting in a long day of calls. You join a Zoom room, cameras on. Most people look tired. Someone presents a slide deck with a new plan. As they talk, you feel a quiet no in your mind. You notice risks and questions, but the presenter sounds confident. A few people nod. Nobody speaks up. The host asks, "Any questions or concerns?" There's a long silence. You think, "Everyone else seems fine. I'm tired. This will take too much energy to explain." You say, "Looks good to me." You leave more exhausted, with a decision you never really agreed to. What just happened there? Why did you agree publicly to something you doubted privately? Here's where Plato's cave shows up in your calendar. Plato gives us the image of the cave. People are chained facing a wall, watching shadows, and think the shadows are reality because it's all they see. Real objects and the fire are behind them. Outside the cave, with sunlight and movement, is more real. The point is simple. What we see on the surface is not always the whole truth. A tired Zoom call can feel like a digital cave. On the screen you see a grid of faces, people nod, someone says, "Great idea," and on the surface there is consensus. But off-screen, in private messages and quiet thoughts, people may not agree at all. The reality of what people actually think is different from the shadow play of what they say on camera. When you're exhausted, questioning the shadows takes energy you may not have. So you go along with appearances, you accept the cave. Now here's the part the brain scans care about. Researchers describe Zoom fatigue as the mental and physical exhaustion that comes from long periods of video conferencing. On video, your brain has to work harder to track multiple faces, tiny nonverbal cues, slight delays in audio and video, and your own face staring back at you. Small lags and glitches make it harder to read people, and your attention system runs at a higher level of effort just to keep up. Neurological studies comparing virtual and in-person meetings find that video calls produce stronger signs of fatigue and emotional strain in brain and heart activity than face-to-face sessions of the same length. Video meetings are measurably more draining for your nervous system. Other work links Zoom fatigue to mind wandering, boredom, and stress. When you are stuck in a long call, your mind drifts, you feel less engaged, and the whole experience starts to feel flat and heavy. So far, that explains the exhaustion. But what about the quiet agreement? The part where you go along with something you don't fully endorse? A 2024 study looked at how fatigue in online meetings affects conformity, the tendency to go along with the majority view. Participants joined professional-style virtual discussions, and researchers measured how often people changed their answers to match the group, and how that related to Zoom fatigue and camera use. They found that more fatigued individuals were more likely to conform to the majority opinion. When you are tired, you have fewer cognitive resources. Pushing back, explaining a minority view, or holding your ground takes effort. Attention, working memory, self-control. If your mental energy is low, it's easier to conserve effort by just agreeing with the majority, even if you're not fully convinced. Keeping cameras on can increase fatigue, which further nudges people toward conformity, because being visibly on stage adds pressure and effort. Put together, the picture looks like this. Video calls are more draining than in-person meetings. That fatigue reduces your capacity for critical thinking and self-control. And in that state, you're more likely to accept the apparent consensus on screen, even when your private judgment disagrees. Philosophically, you're more likely to accept the shadows in the cave as good enough, rather than doing the hard work of turning around. So let's get practical. 3 small experiments for 1 recurring video meeting this week. Experiment 1. Create a protected moment for disagreement. Before your next important virtual meeting, add 1 line to the agenda. 5 minutes for objections and alternative views. During the meeting, say something like, "For the next 5 minutes, I want to hear what might be wrong with this plan, or what we might be missing. It's completely fine to disagree." You're making it easier for people, including you, to bring real thoughts out of the cave instead of nodding along. Experiment 2. Use silent thinking before visible agreement. When a big decision comes up, don't jump straight to thumbs up if you agree. First, give everyone 60 to 90 seconds to think in silence or write concerns down privately. Then invite people to share what they wrote, or use the chat for anonymous questions if your tools allow it. By separating thinking time from performance time, you reduce the pressure to instantly align and give your tired brain a chance to form an honest opinion before the group display. Experiment 3. Reduce unnecessary fatigue on 1 key call. Pick 1 recurring video meeting where decisions matter, and try 1 or more tweaks. Turn off self-view, make cameras optional in listening-heavy segments, and schedule a 5-minute movement break between this meeting and the previous one. Then notice, do you feel even slightly less drained? Is it any easier to say, "I'm not sure this will work," when you disagree? If you run these 3 experiments with just 1 important Zoom call, you'll start to see a difference between appearance and reality. You may still have meetings that are tiring, but you'll be less likely to sacrifice your real judgment to the quiet comfort of agreement. This is Workday Wisdom, using old ideas and new research to redesign the parts of your workday that quietly shape what you think and say. If this helped you see your video meetings differently, subscribe and share this with someone who spends too many hours a week on Zoom. In the next episode, we'll look at the status game in meetings, why some people dominate the conversation, why others disappear, and how status shapes what gets said and what stays silent. This is Ryan from Workday Wisdom signing off for now. I'll see you in the next episode. Have a wonderful week ahead.